Hello everybody, in today's video I'm going to be going over the Kalam argument in the same book I used about the Catholic view of transgenderism. For the next couple of videos I'm going to be using this book because it's really helpful with explaining certain things, so I'm going to begin now. So in the book it explains, the Kalam argument dates back to the Middle Ages but has been made popular today by William Lane Craig, an evangelical Christian philosopher. It's one of the most famous arguments for God. The argument is very simple, in fact it's probably the easiest one to memorize. It has two premises and one conclusion. It runs like this. Premise 1, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Premise 2, the universe began to exist. Conclusion, the universe has a cause. If you can memorize these three simple statements, you'll be well equipped with a dialogue with any skeptic. Let's unpack each of the three statements. The first premise. This statement says everything that begins to exist has a cause. It's very important that we get this right. Some atheists try to refute the Kalam argument by responding, well, if everything that exists has a cause and God exists, then what caused God? But the premise does not claim everything that exists has a cause. It says everything that begins to exist has a cause. Since God, by definition, and whether you believe in him or not, is eternal and never began to exist, this first premise wouldn't apply to him. Therefore, the rhetorical question, what caused God, is like asking, whom is the bachelor married to? Or what caused the uncaused being? Those questions would be senseless even if no bachelor existed or even if there were no uncaused beings. It's just a confusion of terms. Now that we have cleared away that misunderstanding, let's turn back to the first premise. Is it true? Does everything begin to exist have a cause? For most people, the answer is yes, and it's common sense. Almost nobody denies it. The statement simply means that nothing just springs into existence randomly and without a cause. For if things did come into being that way, then our world would be some wild spree of things popping into existence like magic. Only it would be worse than magic, since with magic, you at least have a magician who pulls a rabbit out of a hat. But in a world that violated this first premise, you'd get rabbits popping out in and out of being even without magicians or hats, or any other causes. Few sane people believe the world works this way. So, through experience and reflection, nearly all of us agree that everything that begins to exist has a cause. The second premise. This premise says that the universe began to exist. This claim is slightly more controversial than the first one, or at the very least, it used to be. For centuries, most scientists believed that the universe was eternal, that it had always existed in the past. This conveniently avoided ascribing a beginning to the universe, which would have implied a creation moment. But over the last 100 years, from the Big Bang Theory to new discoveries on quantum cosmology, science has produced a stunning reversal. Today, the scientific consensus is that the universe did have a beginning roughly 14 billion years ago. Alexander Velikin, a leading non-Christian cosmologist, was invited to speak at a colloquium, I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry, for Stephen Hawking's 17th birthday, there in front of the greatest scientists in the world. Vatican confirmed all the evidence we have says that the universe had a beginning. It's rare for scientists to speak with this measure of conclusiveness, but Vatican affirms it's not just some of the evidence points to the beginning of the universe, or even the majority of evidence, but that all the evidence points that way today. The third premise. So the first two premises are readily accepted today. Everything that begins to exist has a cause, and the universe began to exist. If that's the case, then the third statement, the conclusion of the argument, logically follows. We cannot avoid it. If everything that begins to exist has a cause, and the universe began to exist, then the universe must have had a cause. This leads us to the evidence for God. That leads us to wonder, what is the cause of the universe? It certainly couldn't have been anything within the universe or even the universe itself, since things can't cause themselves to come into existence. That defies logic. It would be like saying your arm caused you to come into existence. That couldn't be. Since before you existed, there was no arm. So the cause of the universe must be something beyond the universe, something beyond all matter, energy, space, and time. In other words, it must be transcendent, beyond the universe. It must be immaterial, beyond matter and space. It must be eternal, beyond time. And if it created something so massively complex as the universe, it must be tremendously powerful and intelligent. Well, a transcendent immaterial, eternal, supremely powerful, and intelligent cause of the universe, what does that sound like to you? Now, this proof for God is fairly abstract. It can be a little difficult to understand, at least at first. It doesn't generate the warm personal faith you might derive from prayer, and it does improve the fullness of God, especially things we only know because God has revealed them to us, such as that God is love or is a trinity of persons. But the Kalam argument does present a substantial slice of God, a slice far too thick for any atheist to accept. So commit right now to memorizing these three simple statements. 1. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. 2. The universe began to exist. 3. The universe has a cause. If you can memorize and recall these statements, you'll have an extremely powerful argument for God, always at the ready whenever someone challenges your faith. This is the end of the video, but of course at the end, coming to the end of this, there are many arguments for God. You have the Kalam argument, contingency, you have the moral argument, and the fine-tuning, which is what I've heard the most convincing argument among atheists. But of course, when it comes to all this, especially when dealing with those who do not believe in God, or those who especially might be agnostics as well, something to consider, of course, is to always, like I usually say in each video, approach these people with gentleness and kindness, because you do not want to be, what's the word? But you get what I mean, pushy, angry towards them. Just a reminder to always keep that in mind. But I thank you all for watching, and please subscribe.